Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Chill Out podcast. So, I'm so glad that you're here. I feel like this episode has been sitting in my head for weeks now because everywhere that I look, whether it's like online or in conversations, even in my own thoughts, there's this underlying pressure to constantly be doing more and achieving more and becoming more. And honestly, it's exhausting. And I wanted to talk about this because I know so many of us are in this weird place where we want big things for our lives. We have dreams and goals and plans, and we are super ambitious, but we're also tired of the hustle culture energy that tells us the only way to get there is by grinding ourselves into the ground. And I've been thinking a lot about how ambition itself isn't the problem, it's the pressure that we actually put on ourselves to get there. So that's what led me to today's topic, soft ambition. This idea of wanting more, but in a way that doesn't cost you your peace, a way of chasing your goals that feel grounded and regulated and intentional and human, not frantic, not desperate, not draining. Because I think that a lot of us are waking up to the fact that success without well-being isn't success. And at the same time, we don't want to dim our drive or stop caring about our goals. So how do we find the balance? Where's the middle space between big dreams and having a calm nervous system? That's what we're diving into today. A softer, calmer, still motivated approach to the life that you want to create. So take a breath with me, get comfortable, and let's talk about how to be ambitious without losing yourself in the process. So what does soft ambition actually mean? I want to break it down because I feel like the term can be misunderstood. First off, it's not lazy and it's definitely not passive. Soft ambition doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or settling for less. It's still very goal orientated. But the difference is that it's ambition without self-punishment. It's about striving for growth and success while honoring your energy, your mental health, and your life outside of work or achievement. And soft ambition is grounded. It's intentional progress rather than frantic motion, if that makes sense. It's about showing up consistently, but on your own terms. Listening to your body when you need a break and leaning into your intuition when planning your next steps. And not tying your self-worth to how much you produce or how quickly you reach milestones. In other words, it's the opposite of hustle culture. So no guilt, no shame, no feeling like you're behind just because someone else's timeline looks totally different than yours. And for me personally, soft ambition is exactly how I try and approach my own life now. And I want to grow and I want to create and I have goals for myself and I want to build meaningful stuff. But I refuse to sacrifice my calm time and my well-being or my sense of self just to check a box. And that's sort of why I created the Ward Method, because it's sort of a reflection of this philosophy, helping people move toward their goals while staying grounded and intentional and human. So when we talk about soft ambition, think of it as doing the work that matters in a way that fuels you rather than drains you. It's possible to want big things and still protect your peace. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in today's episode, because I've always been someone that wanted bigger things. I have big goals. I want to achieve things and I constantly want to be busy and all of that. And that really fuels me. It genuinely makes me happy. But I've also come to terms with the fact that it's not sustainable to live life like that. Eventually, you're going to start something and not finish it because you're just exhausted. Like you're running yourself into the ground. And then I'm thinking to myself, wait, am I being lazy? Because everyone else is telling me, no, like no one really cares. You should just keep on moving forward. But I've really tried to be more realistic and more responsible with how I actually spend my time. And when I'm doing something, being super focused and intentional in that moment. And then also allowing myself to have a break and enjoy life. Because I just think that there's this culture online where you just see the end result of something. And then you have this person telling you that just push on, just keep on. And the thing is, no, you also need to be understanding of your capacity. And yes, it's important to push yourself. Sometimes you are being lazy and you can do more, But you also need to be in tune with yourself enough to know when it's time to just take a break, take a second, and start again. Because otherwise, what happens is you end up starting something, not completing something, and then you're hard on yourself. And then you lose that trust in yourself to keep going. Because now you're thinking, wait, what is the point of even starting this if I know that I'm not even going to finish it? And then you just go down this long spiral where you have to literally rebuild your mindset. So try and avoid that as much as possible. I'm not really great at balance. That's why I started my blog, because it's just honest takes on things that I've learned and things that have helped me, and also embracing the mess. Like, the journey isn't perfect. You have to be willing to lean in to the failures and the messiness of life so that you can learn from it, and also be more responsible with what you're allowing into your life and what you're capable of doing. And I think that by living life this way and embracing the imperfect parts of it, you're able to actually build trust with yourself, because you are able to understand yourself better. Now let's talk about the reality of hustle culture, because I think it's important to call it out. On the surface, it looks like success. Everyone's posting perfectly curated lives, grinding, hitting goals, building brands, and it can feel motivating at first, but the truth is, so much of hustle culture is burnout disguised as success. You see people who appear to have it all together, and you start thinking you should be doing the same all the time, because you're only seeing that one glimpse of the end result of someone's journey, and you're thinking, I have to go like 0 to 100 like right now. Like, I have to push on, look how fast they got there, but you don't actually know what it took for them to get there. And it's not always easy. A lot of successful people that I've personally studied and have like watched on YouTube or like learned about their journey and their story, it wasn't easy getting there. And that is something that social media sort of influences us in a way where it's like we think that those people got there in an instant, whereas it was actually a really long, uncomfortable journey that they had to go on to get there. So you have to be realistic, guys. The problem is this approach often leads to overworking and underfeeling. We're so focused on the output that we forget to check in with ourselves, our own energy, how our mental health is doing. And I know mental health is such a buzzword right now, but it's like literally something that you should definitely focus on. Because I feel like without your mind being in a really good place, and without having a really good mindset and a good perspective on life, and it doesn't have to be toxic positivity, but just having a really good, great, healthy mindset is crucial to succeeding and to achieving your goals and to getting what you want out of life. Because not everything is going to go your way. Not everything is going to be perfect. But the way that you train your brain to rather look at those setbacks as stepping stones, that's like the money. That's the goal. Because without your mind, like, what are you? And then there's the constant trap of comparing your timeline to everyone else online. You see everyone hitting milestones faster, posting more frequently, or seemingly crushing it effortlessly, and suddenly your own progress feels slow or not enough. And that pressure creates guilt. Like, I'm guilty of feeling that type of comparison, to a point where I had to really take a break from social media for a minute, because it was actually affecting my mental health in such a terrible way. And I've actually discussed this before in a past episode, but I needed to take a break, because I feel like when you're constantly online, you are so consumed by what everyone else is doing that you forget to really focus on your own life. Comparison, honestly, it's a trap, guys. Like, try and avoid it as much as possible. It creates so much guilt. You just feel like you should be doing more all the time and achieving more and producing more. And instead of inspiring motivation, it often just encourages more fear and more anxiety and more self-doubt. And it's sort of this invisible weight that sits on your shoulders all the time. And if you're not careful, it can make even the things that you love feel exhausting and feel like such a chore. And I'll be honest, like, I've been there, to the point where you're looking at people, especially when it comes to like YouTube and stuff, you see these people and these creators doing so well and hitting all of these milestones. And a lot of my favorite creators, it took them a while to get there. So that's a nice kind of like journey to look at. and feel inspired by, but there are a lot of things that you see and you feel a lot of pressure, and then you end up posting things that you don't actually want to be posting. And your love of YouTube, in my case, becomes like more of a chore, not something that's actually enjoyable and something that you want to do. So those are the types of things that comparison encourages you to like get into, like that constant need to, I don't know, just be perfect and do what everyone else is doing. And sometimes I've pushed myself too hard, where I literally just thought to myself one day, do I actually want to do YouTube now? Like, I don't feel inspired at all. I feel scattered. I don't feel aligned with what I want to do. And it's because I was trying to fit into that impossible grind model. And I'd find myself questioning if I was doing enough, if this was actually for me. Do I actually enjoy this? And why am I even doing this if I'm not growing as fast as so many other people? Or if I was somehow failing because I wasn't moving as aggressively as everyone else. And the truth is, it was completely unnecessary. It didn't make me feel more productive. It just drained me and made me feel disconnected from why I even started in the first place. And YouTube for me has always been like this special thing, because when I was going through something really transitional and hard in my life, I turned to YouTube as like a creative outlet for me. And I started sharing things that inspire me and that I'm passionate about. And I love making content. I just love doing it for fun. It's just nice to enjoy the process. Like, I love editing, for example, and it's just like a fun vibe. It makes me happy. It brings me joy. That is why I do it. So when you sort of lose that love for something because you're trying to push to achieve like this unrealistic goal that you don't even care that much about, you're just looking what everyone else is doing, that's when you need to really take inventory of why you are doing things and how it's actually affecting you. That's why I want to shift the conversation toward something better, toward like having more soft ambition, an ambition that fuels you instead of depletes you, that lets you chase goals without losing your peace or your self-worth. Because honestly, we don't have to sacrifice our well-being to be ambitious. So how did I personally shift from the chaos of hustle culture into what I now think of as soft ambition? Honestly, it wasn't an overnight thing. For years, I tried to push myself harder and harder, more content, more projects, more everything, thinking that if I just did enough, I'd finally feel successful and accomplished, or like I was enough. But all it did was leave me feeling drained and scattered and uninspired and second guessing myself all the time. And my productivity was high, but my energy and my clarity were at an all-time low. And I just think that if you're not in something for the long run, you're never going to sustain yourself. And that's just the honest truth. You really have to be into something with the right intentions and with passion, because whether it's starting a business or trying to grow a YouTube channel or whatever your passion is, it takes time sometimes people are really lucky, but mostly it does take time, and you really have to be willing to put in that effort and play the long game. And the long game means taking breaks too. And at some point I realized that the way that I was chasing goals wasn't sustainable. I was chasing growth at the expense of my own mental and emotional well-being. So what I did was I started experimenting with a different approach, one that would honor my pace, my energy, and my real life priorities. So I began to notice patterns. The days that I took intentional pauses, checked in with myself, or slowed down a little bit actually led to more sustainable progress than the days when I just forced myself to grind through everything for like hours. And this shift wasn't just about routines, it was mindset work. So I had to learn how to give myself permission to take breaks, to say no to things that didn't align with what I wanted to do, and to stop tying my self-worth to output or comparison. And I had to sort of relearn what success meant for me personally, instead of letting society or social media define it. And slowly, step by step, I started to feel the freedom of pursuing my goals again without sacrificing my own peace or comparing myself to what everyone else is doing. Now, my approach is intentional. I set goals that excite me. I've now created a framework for myself where I write down all of my goals, like my really big ones, and I will start with one at a time. And what I'll do is I'll take one of those goals and I'll work out small actionable goals to get there, almost like a beautiful bridge that guides you to that end result. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll take my time and I'll focus on the one goal at a time instead of trying to focus on everything. And it's really, really helped me to reframe things and to also focus my energy on stuff that is actually going to get me closer to what I want. And I've really had to trust my own instincts and embrace those small wins, even if they don't look that amazing to other people, and also recognize that the journey matters just as much as the end result. I just feel like, I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this, but when you've like achieved something really big, maybe you bought like your first car, or you were like saving up to start a brand or something, and you eventually get to that point, there comes a moment where you are like relishing in that success and that feeling, but over time it goes away. It's the same thing like when I buy myself something new, like a new bag or like new shoes or whatever. It excites me in the moment and I'm grateful for it, of course, but it's just a material thing. It's just like an end result kind of thing. And eventually that novelty fades away and you're like on to the next thing. And we forget to really enjoy that process and that journey that actually led us to that. And that, I feel like, is the beauty of life. And I think that is what soft ambition is all about. It's about chasing the life that you want in a way that actually sustains you rather than burns you out. Now that we've talked about the problem with hustle culture and like my own personal shift, I really want to break down a framework for soft ambition. And these are actionable ways to pursue your goals without sacrificing your peace. I like to think of it as 5 key pillars that guide how I structure my life and my work and my growth. So I really hope that these help you. Number 1 is gentle structure over rigid schedules. Soft ambition doesn't mean no planning at all. It means planning in a way that supports you instead of controlling you. I like to organize my week around themes and intentions rather than strict hourly schedules. For example, on Monday evenings, it might be creative work for me. Wednesdays are maybe admin or planning. And Fridays are for reflection time, reset, and relaxation. The vibes. And this keeps me moving toward my goals, but prevents the constant pressure of doing everything all at once. I've tried doing everything all at once, and yeah, it's just not good. I'm someone that does thrive in chaos, and I love being busy, but I've had to really start focusing on one thing at a time and really put all of my energy into that, because I don't want to start something, not give it my all, and then not finish it. Number 2 is nervous system first. So your energy is the ultimate productivity tool. I prioritize grounding myself before diving into any tasks, whether that's going for a morning walk or going to the gym or breathing exercises, journaling, or just soaking in some sunlight outside for a little bit. Soft ambition means checking in with your body and your mind, making sure that you feel aligned and not just operating out of obligation or stress or like desperation. And something that I like to do is, if I'm feeling really scattered and I really can't focus right now, but I know I need to do something and I'm just procrastinating, I'll take a second, I'll go outside, I'll go for a walk and put my phone away and just like be in the moment and just like enjoy the walk. Or I will go and grab a matcha and say hello to the barista and have a little chat and then come home. And just doing something that is different, where you're not like forcing yourself to do a task, really helps you to just have some time away from your workspace so that you're able to come back and feel more like focused and feel like you've had a really good reset. Number 3 is supportive self-talk. So ambition without self-compassion is burnout in disguise. I'm not even kidding. I've learned to catch those I should be doing more thoughts and replace them with affirmations like, you know what, I'm allowed to grow at my own pace, or I value progress, not perfection. And this creates a mindset that fuels growth instead of encouraging fear. And it's honestly been such a game changer for staying motivated without having guilt. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's helped me so much. It's just those small things that we say to ourselves that we don't realize actually affects us. and it affects the way that we view ourselves. And when we don't view ourselves in a great way, how are we ever going to achieve anything? Because at the end of the day, you only have yourself, right? No one is going to force you to go after your goals. That is on you. So it's very important to be aware of how you speak to yourself. Number 4 is small, consistent steps. So this is the 1% rule. Soft ambition thrives on consistency over intensity. Instead of burning out by doing too much at once, I focus on tiny, sustainable actions every day, the kind that compound into major results over time. It's about showing up even when you don't feel super motivated and trusting that slow progress is still progress. I remember when I was writing my book, it literally took me over a year to write it, because there were times where I was like, wait, what do I want to write about? And then I had to like write down a few jotted notes and breakdowns of like the outline of what I wanted it to be. And then I actually had to sit down and start writing out the paragraphs and the chapters and all of that. And sometimes you don't really want to sit down and do work. Like your brain is just overwhelmed. And as a creative person, sometimes you just don't feel inspired and then you don't want to do anything. But it's about those small, consistent actions. So you don't have to write an entire book in one sitting. Like you can start off maybe writing a few sentences, then writing a paragraph, then writing a chapter, and move on from there. And that is something that I like to do every single day and try and remind myself that one step at a time, Kelly. Okay, you don't have to run the whole marathon today. One step at a time, and just consistently showing up for yourself and just trying to do tiny little steps towards what you want to achieve every single day. You will wake up one day and bam, you've achieved your goal. So it's all about consistency. And I think that's the most important thing to remember is don't push yourself too hard if you know that you're not vibing today. Like just take it slow, take it easy. Number 5 is align goals with energy, not your ego. So finally, knowing when to push and when to pause. Not every season is for high intensity growth, and that's okay. Learning to listen to your energy, not comparing yourself to other people, and actually honoring what feels right for you. I think that this ensures that ambition becomes a source of fulfillment and not a source of stress. And that's something that I've started learning too, is just being okay with those in-between slow moments that are boring. And sometimes I find myself thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? But I've started actually just enjoying those quiet, boring times and enjoying those in-between moments where nothing is happening, and just sort of like taking a step back and taking a pause and, you know, just taking some time for myself. And those moments are so nice, guys. Like those calm moments, it's a vibe, okay? It helps you to like refocus again, because then you can kind of get inspiration. I remember this one quote that I read was like something like, creative people need to be bored. And that is so true. Sometimes you just need to lay on the couch and stare at the ceiling for an hour, and your imagination just runs wild and you just start feeling inspired again. And those are the types of moments that I really enjoy now, because those in-between stages in life where things feel really slow and boring and lame, those are the moments that you should really enjoy, because the next chapter might be amazing, and at least you took that time to really just be present and enjoy your life. When you combine these 5 pillars, you create a way of pursuing your goals that's more intentional and more sustainable and deeply aligned with who you are, without losing yourself in the process. And this is the blueprint that I follow personally, and it's what I hope can help you chase your dreams in a more calmer, more centered, more grounded way, because it is possible. Now that we've covered the framework for soft ambition, I want to share some of the practical routines and habits that I personally use to stay aligned and intentional and more energized while still chasing my goals. So these are small, repeatable practices that make a huge difference over time. The kind of habits that help you to pursue your ambitions without burning out. So when it comes to morning rituals, for example, I start my day with things that ground me physically and mentally. For me, that's a simple stretch, or doing a yoga class, having a glass of water, and a few minutes of journaling to like set intentions. It doesn't take long, but it signals to my brain and my body that the day is mine and I'm showing up intentionally rather than reacting to a to-do list. Another thing is like energy checks. Throughout the day, I pause to check in with myself. Sometimes it's going for a short walk or like getting up from my desk for a second, breathing for 10 seconds, I'm not even kidding, or just sitting quietly for a few minutes with nothing playing, like no YouTube in the background, no phone, nothing. And these micro pauses allow me to reset, avoid feeling overwhelmed throughout my day, and allow me to make choices from a place of clarity rather than stress. This is something that's also been a real game changer for me, which is like having goal alignment. So instead of having rigid task lists, I focus on theme-based goals for the week. So I ask myself, what's the most important thing for me this week that will help me to move forward? Then I break it down into bite-sized actions that feel manageable and realistic. And this keeps me motivated without the pressure of trying to do everything at once. And I'm someone that needs to have a to-do list. So I have to write down everything that I want to achieve for that week. And then I'll go accordingly and I'll like tick off what I do. And it really helps me to write stuff down because I will forget. Like sometimes I have really great ideas when I'm laying in bed. And then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, wait, what was I thinking about? So I have to write everything down, and it's helped me so much to stay on track. This is something that is so overrated, but I think that evening reflection is so valuable because before bed, it's so nice to take moments to reflect on your wins for the day or things that you've learned, moments of gratitude. I personally love writing things down, and it's just such a nice way to reflect on the day. It's also really good to jot down any unfinished thoughts or tasks so that your mind doesn't feel stuck in overdrive and you're able to actually unwind in the evening. And this habit has personally helped me to sleep so much better, honestly. It also really helps you to recharge fully and wake up ready to pursue your goals with more ambition and with more drive because you feel really relaxed and calm and you're now leading your day from a place of clarity. I also love like Tony Robbins, honestly. I know that I'm talking about soft ambition here, but sometimes you do need a little bit of some motivation, okay? And I love a good Tony Robbins moment. I love that good, shouting motivational moment to like pump me up for the day. And that's why I really love a lot of mindset tools, like positive affirmations and not like those cringe ones, but moments where you feel like overwhelmed and you just kind of tell yourself, you know what? You are going to be fine. Just take a breath, handle it. You're capable, and then you're able to just like carry on and push forward. I love good mindset tools. Anything that's going to help me to feel less stressed and overwhelmed in life, I love it. I also think that limiting that little self-critique voice in your head is also very valuable. I know personally I'm like my worst critic. Like I'm so hard on myself about everything. So I think just reminding yourself that growth is part of the journey and perfection is not the goal. I think it sort of allows you to sort of like chill out a little bit, And I think that these small shifts in thinking prevent that feeling of guilt and comparison and burnout that hustle culture often brings. The key is that none of these routines are rigid or overwhelming. They're meant to support your energy and your focus and your well-being while still moving you forward and moving you toward your goals. And soft ambition isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters in a way that feels good. And when you pair these habits with your ambitions, the result is sustainable growth, okay? Playing the long game because that's the most sustainable. Building that confidence within yourself, a life that feels both intentional but also enjoyable at the same time. Before we wrap up, I do want to leave you with a gentle reminder, okay? And I hope this isn't cheesy or whatever, but honestly, I don't care because this whole episode was very philosophical. I'm so sorry. But that's basically how my brain works. I'm not even kidding. I think about things so deeply. It's insane. Like, does anyone else think about things like really deeply in life? I don't know. But I think that I'm way too self-aware that it might be a problem. I'm just kidding, but not really. But I just wanted to leave you guys with the fact that soft ambition is about permission. And it's about having permission to want big things without sacrificing your peace and also having permission to grow at your own pace and permission to honor yourself along the way, and make sure that you aren't pushing yourself or forcing yourself or trying to grind and live up to this expectation of the culture that we get literally pushed into our faces all the time, called hustle culture. Look, some days will feel so slow, some weeks will feel overwhelming, and some moments will surprise you with clarity and progress. And the key is to just show up for yourself consistently and practice more self-compassion, and remember that your journey is uniquely yours. So try not to compare yourself, because it's honestly a trap and it will hold you back. So as you move forward this week, I encourage you to take one small intentional action that aligns with your goals, while also supporting your energy and your overall well-being. And maybe it's a short reflection or a mindful pause during your day, or finally tackling a project that you've been putting off and procrastinating hardcore. But do it with kindness to yourself, not with pressure, not because you have to do it, but because you want to do it and because you get to do it. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me. As always, I love hanging out with you. Like, it's honestly such a vibe, literally. I really hope that this episode reminded you that ambition doesn't have to feel heavy, and that pursuing your dreams can be empowering and grounding and even enjoyable, okay? So if today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who could use a softer approach to chasing their goals. And as always, take care of yourself. It's Sunday. Be gentle. Take yourself out for ice cream. All of the vibes. I love you, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.